at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We gotta unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters of the Resistance. It is Friday, June 7th. I am Dean Obeidallah. As always, here to be your MBFF on Twitter, at Dean Obeidallah, Facebook.com/Dean of Radio, or email me over the weekend. It's the best time I'm around. I will get back to you. I promise. I look forward to it. Dean@deanofradio.com. So a lot to cover, like every day. Every day there's a lot to cover. And especially because it's Friday, though, we need a little humor. Although the humor of Colbert last night actually helps us get into the first topic. So here is first Colbert on Trump's nickname for Nancy Pelosi. Clip number 1, please.
Then Trump unveiled a new nickname for Nancy Pelosi.
I call her Nervous Nancy.
Yes, something about me having control of the nuclear arsenal just makes her skittish. I don't know what it is. Speaker Pelosi was also in Normandy to honor D-Day, and when she was asked to respond to Trump, she was 0% nervous.
I don't talk about the president when I'm with the country. That's my principle.
But as soon as I'm flying over international waters, give me an airplane Chardonnay and the claws will come out.
So, and we played yesterday Speaker Pelosi responding to something Trump had said, and she said she tried to twist it into a nice thing because she's a principled politician, so an old school politician, but the idea is you don't, on foreign soil, make fun of the president or mock the president of the United States. Domestic policy stops at our shoreline, not for Trump, of course, because he sat for an interview with Laura Ingraham, and literally the tombstones were behind him for all the men who had died in Normandy, and there he is attacking Robert Mueller, a U.S. military veteran, and Nancy Pelosi. And then here is Colbert, and this really helps us get into the topic I got to talk about first for a little bit here. Let's hear clip number 2, please.
The president is, of course, facing his own battles back home. Yesterday, House Democratic leaders met in private to talk about the possibility of impeachment, and things got heated between Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and House Judiciary Chairman and proud father of 2 wonderful chairs, Jerry Nadler. Congressman Nadler wants to launch an impeachment inquiry against Trump, but Pelosi turned him down, responding, "I don't want to see him impeached. I want to see him in prison." Okay, but why do we have to choose?
And I left all the cheering in there for you to hear organically how excited the audience was at the prospect of Donald Trump going to prison. Now, of course, over on Fox News, that was too much for Sean Hannity. The idea of criminalizing American politics. Here was Sean Hannity last night ringing the clarion bell to warn us all we're becoming a banana republic because of the comment of Speaker Pelosi. The rule of law is gone. The Constitution is all gone because of Speaker Pelosi's reported comment. Here's clip number 3.
Even impeaching Trump apparently is not enough. And Speaker Pelosi now apparently telling senior Democrats she'd like to see Trump behind bars. Based on no actual crime, she wants a political opponent locked up in prison. That happens in banana republics, beyond despicable behavior. And by the way, they would literally turn, in many ways, the USA into a country we would no longer recognize. Constitutional republic, equal justice under the law, equal application of our laws.
Sean Hannity's right. How dare you talk about criminalizing your opponent and imprisoning your political opponents? That's what they do in banana republics. That's not something that the beloved Trump would ever do, right? Whoops. Would he? Here is October 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton, clip number 4.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Oh my God, did Donald Trump just say his political opponent should be in prison? That's got to be a mistake, because that can't be part of a pattern, right? Whoops, here's the RNC convention in the summer of 2016. Michael Flynn, clip number 5.
Lock her up. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Lock her up. I'm going to tell you what. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. I'm sure Sean Hannity called out both of those, right? I mean, I'm sure he denounced Donald Trump as wanting to be the leader of a banana republic and destroy our constitutional republic, right? But maybe those were just exceptions. Maybe there was not other examples of Trump world cheering to imprison the political opponent. But of course, there was CPAC 2017. Here's Donald Trump. Here's clip number 6.
Hillary called them deplorable. They're not deplorable.
Well, there's Trump right there, sort of seeming to be enjoying the crowd cheering locker. I'm kind of confused because Sean Hannity said it's a banana republic to want to criminalize and imprison your opponent, but it seems like his Trump likes this. But that was all in the past, right? It's not recent. Oh my God, there was this thing in 2018 after Hillary Clinton was literally sent a bomb, and here's a Trump rally, and here R.E. Melber setting it up. Exactly what's going on. Here's clip number 7.
Take a look at what just happened in the light of today's attempted attack on Hillary Clinton.
Sean Hannity and Donald Trump are the Batman and Robin of gaslighting. That's what they are. They're the Batman and Robin of gaslighting. They will lie. They don't care. They're cut from the same cloth. Sean Hannity's got zero credibility for anyone with a brain. Going to be blunt. If you're a moron, he makes a lot of sense. But if you have any critical thinking skills, you don't. You're like, this guy's stupid. He's full of crap. You know he's full of crap. And you wonder, why even take this on? You know the history. Sean Hannity literally has covered rallies and been at rallies where they cheered lock her up. He knows everyone can simply Google it, find the clips, and play them on their shows. He doesn't care because he doesn't respect the people who watch his show. He doesn't think like they have critical thinking skills. And I hope they will say, I've had enough of being insulted by Sean Hannity. I'm going to turn the channel. I don't need to be insulted by this man who I don't get that I yelled lock her up at a rally. I mean, come on. But Trump, Sean Hannity or Trump, they don't respect you if you're a Trump supporter. They think you're an idiot. And that's the reality of what's going on here, because I don't even know what this is for. But there's also something else. You had, as Colbert talked about, Trump's new nickname for Speaker Pelosi is Nervous Nancy, which I think is very interesting because what we know is Donald Trump's all about projection. That's one of his trademark touchstones. He's about projection. So she's not nervous. Donald Trump is nervous by Nancy Pelosi. And I don't think anyone would doubt that. Even someone in his base would probably admit he is nervous about Nancy Pelosi. She has a lot of power. She fights back. She's smarter than him. She understands Congress better than him. And no doubt about it. And, Trump tweeted today, nervous Nancy Pelosi is a disgrace to herself and her family. He's flying back from Normandy tweeting this garbage. She's a disgrace to herself and her family. Now she's a disgrace to her family. I mean, it just gets so personal, so vile with him because he's afraid of Speaker Pelosi. Then he said something here, nervous Nancy and Democrats are getting zero work done in Congress. And I just want to touch on that for a second because, look, I have been very critical of Speaker Pelosi's refusal to begin impeachment proceedings of Donald Trump. I want them to do it as soon as the report came out. I've talked about it on the show endlessly. I've written articles for the Daily Beast and CNN saying, we got to start doing this now. But at the same time, while I've been critical of that, I've also praised her in other ways. And I think there's something here to respond to what Trump is doing, but also give the Democrats, herself and the Democrats in the House, a moment of applause and a moment of appreciation. They're not getting in the media. The media doesn't really cover it. And I don't even think our fellow Democrats are giving them credit for what they have done in the House. Trump says they've done zero work in Congress. That's a lie because it comes from Trump. We know it's a lie. Anything Trump tweets or says is a lie. What they've really done in the House since the shutdown ended and they got into the Congress in mid-January, late January, they have literally, and I'll go through it, I'm not exaggerating, passed a major bill on key issues month after month after month. They've done their job, but Mitch the Turtle McConnell won't even let these things come up for a vote. Issues that the majority, if not an overwhelming majority of Americans support. But the GOP doesn't care about the average American. They care about their base. And the tyranny of the minority is on display for all of us here. So let me give you some of these things that Speaker Pelosi has been responsible for. In fact, some of these votes have been the first time on these issues in 9 years since Democrats lost control of the House. And we'll go through each month an example of something she's done and why this is important. And I'll tell you twofold why. First of all, it shows our fellow Americans who are paying attention to the issue. The media doesn't cover it as much, so they don't get the coverage they deserve. These are the issues we stand for as Democrats. It's not just anti-Trump. We are clearly anti-Trump because it's not anti-Trump. We are pro-American. And being pro-American makes you anti-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump because I don't like the guy's hair or because he's an idiot and he's a bigot. That's part of it. But I'm actually pro-American. I'm pro-American values, which means Trump is my enemy because I believe in American values. But here she's giving a chance with this legislation to show our fellow Americans this is what we stand for. If we win the presidency and the Senate in 2020, this is what we'll enact. And it's also doing something else shrewd. It's putting Republicans on the record to vote on issues in a way that's going to make them look bad and hopefully make them more vulnerable in the next midterm, the next election in 2020. Maybe pick up a few more House seats. But again, it shows our fellow Americans the stark contrast on a policy basis between our two parties. For example, just earlier this week, they passed a major immigration reform bill called the American Dream and Promise Act of 2019. In fact, I had Congressman Joaquin Castro on yesterday, the chair of the Hispanic caucus. We talk about it. In this, it offers a path to citizenship for more than 2 million undocumented immigrants, including the Dreamers, and also has various proposals to give people who are here an opportunity to earn a green card and status as a citizen over time, over years and years, but over time. 230 Democrats voted for it. How many Republicans? 7. Only 7. So here's a great contrast. They talk about the Dreamers. We want to protect the Dreamers. Well, here was a bill to protect the Dreamers. This was the focus of this bill. Only 7 Republicans said yes. So you've got that. What did they do in May? In May, Speaker Pelosi led passage of the Equality Act, a bill that would protect the LGBTQ community from discrimination in housing, in the workplace, in public accommodations, and other settings. This is a massive bill. It's essentially amending the Civil Rights Act to say sexual orientation and gender identity are equally protected, just like race and religion and ethnicity. They passed this in May. This was significant. It was remarkable. For years they've talked about it. They passed it. How many Republicans supported making sure the LGBT community has equality and is not discriminated against? How many of the over 200 Republicans in Congress, in the House, how many voted for it? 8. 8. So you have another great contrast, thanks to Speaker Pelosi, showing which party is about fighting for equality for the LGBTQ community. It is us. And which party wants discrimination of the LGBTQ community? It is the Republicans. When only 8 come aboard, for this is a simple thing. This is simply a law to say discrimination against people for their sexual orientation or gender identity is wrong. It is illegal. You can't turn someone away from a housing, like from hotels or from rental properties or from your workplace. And only 8 Republicans are on board. The rest, what? Nope. Not supporting that. Well, I wish this got more press, but this was significant. It was momentous. In April, what did they do? The Democrats in the House voted to reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act. That seems like an easy run. Who could be against a law that protects women from violence and has special penalties to make it even more of a punishment if you commit violence against women? They voted in the House. Democrats overwhelmingly all supported. How many Republicans? Only 33. Only 33 Republicans voted for the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. Again, what Speaker Pelosi has done here is shown our fellow Americans on this very issue, on protecting women from violence, that we are leading this. And only 33 Republicans are on board. In March, and each month I have an example of what she's been doing here, which is remarkable. And the only reason she and the other Democrats are not getting credit is the media cares more about Trump's tweets than about substantive policy. And I get they're going to say, well, it's not going to pass in the Senate. But maybe if it got some more press, it would build up support in even some of the red states, and of course in the purple states, where senators up for re-election. So what else? In March, they passed H.R. 1, For the People Act. This was all about protecting voting rights. This is fundamental. This is overwhelming support in America for things like reforming redistricting, automating voter registration where everybody's automatically registered as a voter. We talked about that yesterday, how important that is. Restoring the protections of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. and implementing stricter disclosure for campaigns. Simple law. Protecting voting rights, making sure the Voting Rights Act that had been gutted by the GOP Supreme Court is back in power. How many Republicans supported this? Zero. And they're on record now, not one. Democrats supported this, it passed. And the first bill, the major bill they passed, the very first one, February, universal background checks, H.R. 8. Requires universal background checks on all firearm sales in this country, ending the various loopholes we have. This is something supported by 90% of Americans, including a solid majority of NRA members. Very simple, universal background, because right now, the only time you have to do a background check if it's a federally licensed gun dealer. That's the only time. Federally licensed gun dealer, yes, you have to do a background check, make sure they don't have a history of felonies or been adjudicated mentally ill and institutionalized. Well, there's a big gap. Estimates are 30 to 40% of gun sales are not by federally licensed gun dealers. They're legal sales by other people at gun shows, for example. Well, they passed the bill. How many Republicans voted for simply expanding universal background checks to all sales? How many would you guess? 8. This is what Speaker Pelosi has done that I have to applaud, and we should applaud. And that's why I say I compartmentalize my dislike for her on one issue, this impeachment thing. And it's terrible and it's wrong and it gets all the press, and I get it because it's fundamentally going to who we are as a people. But so is this passing this legislation. And I wish the media would cover it more, because perhaps it would move Mitch McConnell, because some senators in the Republican caucus would say, people in my state are talking about the idea of ending discrimination against LGBTQ people. And I think we should bring this to a vote. But the media doesn't cover it. Or the Violence Against Women Act. I think we should have a vote on it. Or the idea of universal background checks for guns, 90% of Americans. So this is what Speaker Pelosi has done that deserves applause and deserves far, far more media coverage. And the Democrats in the House who've championed these, who've had committee hearings and pushed for the votes on the floor, they deserve praise for this. And they're not getting it. So when Donald Trump says in his tweet today, and he said it before, a week ago too, Democrats are doing nothing. Remember, that's not true. That's just another lie. They're doing remarkable stuff. Think about if this all passed. But it won't, because the turtle in the Senate will not enact it. So it just sits there and it just dies a death. But the 2020 Democrats have an opportunity to talk about these very issues and not just say, I've got words on it, but we've actually voted for it. And the Democrats in the House voted for these things. And they're also working on things for health care and prescription drug costs. So we're going to have a whole platform set up by Speaker Pelosi. So I think that's really good. Still going to be disappointed, and I'm still fighting for impeachment inquiry. I think we must begin that. I think we need to begin that now. Chairman Nadler of the Judiciary Committee is now almost on the verge of public fighting over this issue. But what do you think of this? What do you think of the strategy of the Democrats passing legislation in the House, knowing for the most part it won't get light of day in the Senate, but making the case to our fellow Americans, one, this is the policies we believe in. We believe in fighting against discrimination. We believe in equality for all. We believe in voting for all. We believe in universal background checks for guns. We believe in dreamers and having a reformation of our immigration policy. And everything, a handful to a slightly more handful of Republicans supported, while Democrats supported overwhelmingly. Does this matter? Do you think this will help us in 2020? Because I think it actually plays into it. I think you need to do impeachment, absolutely. So it's not like, they did this, so we don't have to talk about impeachment. No. We need impeachment. We need the impeachment inquiry to begin. But I think this is great. And I think too often as Democrats now, sometimes we want to hold the Democrats accountable. And I'm such a big supporter of that. Even when my fellow Democrats email me and say, you're bashing Democrats. I'm not. I'm holding them accountable. That's why we elect them. Not like they get elected and we go, okay, see you in 2 years when we can vote again, or 4 years. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works anymore. We elect you. We're going to hold you accountable. Even though we're a D and you're a D, we're going to hold you accountable. But at the same time, they deserve the praise for this. And they're helping us win 2020 by doing this very work in the House. And I hope to see even more of it. And I know they're going to do more of it. So I'd love to hear from you. It's Friday. You're my guest right to the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Tom Hartman's going to join us about his new book. Everyone knows him, legendary radio host, but he'll be here live at the top of the hour for a little bit. Then we'll take more calls. 866-997-4748. And what do you think of Sean Hannity? I'm really confused. Sean Hannity, the idea, and I'm sincerely confused. Sean Hannity knows they yell lock her up at Trump rallies. He knows Donald Trump's call for the imprisonment of his political opponent. And to go on TV yesterday and say, stunned, we're a banana republic. He knows everyone knows the truth here. Why do you say this? What is going on? What is the point of this? Is it simply gaslighting? Is he just filling time on his show because he had nothing else to talk about? It makes no sense to me. I think Sean Hannity is not a moron. I think he understands this stuff. And he knows it'll be fact-checked in a second. Is that all he wants? Because Trump says things that are lies, knowing they're lies, because he gets media attention to talk about them. And maybe Sean Hannity's literally just following that model. I'm just befuddled by that garbage. But 866-997-4748. You're my guest right here on the Dean Obeidallah Show. I'd love to hear from you.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
Voting is the most important civil right of our era because the right to vote preserves all other rights. It's not the Second Amendment. It's not guns. It's voting.